Aloha, it's CreativeNameToStandOut again with another battle report. This time it's a 2,000 point game between my Dark Elves and a very well painted Beastmen army. So you guys are in for a treat because I have two fully painted armies on the field. So I didn't get a picture of deployment or the overall board, but I do have a picture of deployment. So starting here are my 10 Dark Shards. Deployed in a Wildwood are 10 more Dark Shards, and then my Executioners with a BSB next to it. Next to that will be the Cauldron of Blood, my level 4 sorceress with shadow magic, and then 28 witch elves in horde formation. And then finally on the right flank I have my 5 Doomfire warlocks, which I'll hope I'll be able to speed up the flank. Alright, starting on my opponent's left flank across from my Dark Shards are 7 Chaos Warhounds and a Razor Gored Chariot. And then next to that is a Chaos Spawn and then a very large unit of Wargore with a BSB and a General inside. And then next to that, I believe, is a very modestly built herdstone. I've seen the on YouTube in the past, and then just on the gaming table, people generally build this thing to be a monstrosity. So good on him for the modesty. And then deployed in Abysmal Forest is a unit of 25 Ungor and a level 4 wizard. Now I know that the Ungor is supposed to be on 20mm bases, but they're Ungor, and you got this unit in a trade, so why replace the bases for Ungor? And then finally we have some beautiful old harpies, 2 units of Razor Gore chariots, and a Chaos Spawn. Alright, and then I deploy my shades here. So my game plan is going to be kill the chaff. My opponent has a ton of chaff. I don't need him to throw all these throwaway units at my witches, redirect them, get a nice juicy flank charge. That's going to ruin my plans. So I'm going to make my shades and my Doomfire Warlocks, earn their keep. I really feel like the Doomfire Warlocks can handle any of those chaff units there in this picture as long as I get the charge off on them, especially as chariots are concerned. I'm going to try to use the shades and some magic. Maybe I can kill one of the chariots with that little combo. I'm not too worried about the spawn. It's a spawn, so I think anything can really kill it. And then the harpies, they're okay. They might need to get a flank charge on something to do some real damage. So if I can kill all the chaff, obviously I'm going to have a good day. I can get the matchups I want. I do think the witches can handle either of those blocks. So, and then I'll bring the executioners in there to support what the witches don't kill. So that's the game plan. Not terribly strong, but there you go. Okay, so I got the +1 to go first, but my opponent wins the roll-off. So here he goes with his first turn moves. On the left flank, there's the war dogs, the spawn, and the chariot moving forward. And then the large unit of Wargore just moved towards the center, going into this forest, and that ends up being a fear forest also. There's a little bit of shuffling around with the Ungor and the wizard, and the other 2 wizards move around the rock. And then here is his right flank before we go into the magic phase. As we look at the magic, if you've never played against Beastmen before, they have a pretty good magic phase. They can get the amount of dice they have in wizards as long as those wizards stay near the stone. And then my opponent here had 3 channeling attempts. Here the wild form goes off on the spawn, and this is where the purple sun ends up. Alright, so we go into Dark Elf turn 1, and I'm kind of kicking myself. I wish I would have took my Vanguard move with my Doomfire Warlocks, but I just forgot. Anyway, I push them forward, and hopefully I can just Doom Bolt one of those chariots away and create some panic checks. I join the Cauldron of Blood to the witches, and I move everything else like you see here. I kind of move the executioners to the side. And so my game plan here is assuming that he doesn't want to bring his bunker into combat, and he's really going to try to bring his Wargore into the center and engage my units with it. And it's a pretty killer unit. So what I try to do is use the terrain to my advantage and create a situation in which if he comes in approaching my executioners, at some point, whether it's a failed charge or a successful charge, he'll expose his flank to my witches, and then vice versa, the same thing. Approaching the witches, failed charge, will expose his flank to my executioners. And I'm using that impassable terrain there to anchor my witches' flank from any flank charges by those chariots if I don't end up killing them. So that's the game plan, and let's hopefully it can work. It all depends on me really taking care of all this chaff. Alright, the magic phase is kind of close. It's too bad. I want to get Doombolt off, so first I cast the Withering, but unfortunately it goes off with Irresistible Force. I roll a 4, but I do live. In the shooting phase, my Dark Shards over here on the left take aim at those Warhounds, and I kill a bunch, but he passes his break test. And then I got the Withering off on this Chariot, and I let loose with my Shades, and I managed to do 2 wounds. But I was really hoping to kill it, even though it's probably not likely. We go into Beastman turn 2, and my opponent declares a charge with his Harpies at my Shades. I elect to hold. He then charges his Chariot that's been withered into the Shades. I shoot. I don't do any wounds, and this is what it looks like. His Chaos Spawn randomly runs into my Warlocks, and then his dogs move right into the face of my Dark Shards. Over here you can see the Chariot tailing behind, and then this other Chariot pivots to support this combat in later turns. In the magic phase, I was hoping to really just stop Soul Blight or Wissons from going off so that my Doomfire Warlocks would have an easier time against that spawn. I really wanted to get rid of it and then move on, maybe even charge a Chariot. Here's what the board looks like before the combat happens. And this is what it looks like afterwards. And I think he tried to overrun with both units, but the Harpies were just really bad. However, the Chariot does hit and just barely nicks my Executioners. Over here, despite the fact that I used my Dispel Scroll to stop that Soul Blight, I just could not kill the spawn. So I've really overestimated or underestimated the spawn and its ability to hold me up. I really thought I was just going to cakewalk through it as long as he wasn't toughness 6. Okay, so we go into Dark Elf turn 2, and I have a couple charges I'm going to declare. First, I'm going to charge these Warhounds with my crossbows. I'm going to support the Executioners with these crossbows since it's still withered. And then I fail charge here, pushing those Harpies away, but I still have that impassable terrain anchoring my flank. We go into Dark Elf Magic 2, and the Irresistible Force is still going to be hurting me here because he still has his Dispel Scroll. I couldn't get rid of it on the first turn, so he gets rid of a good pit of shades I had. I fail on an Enfeebling Foe, as you can see here, and then it's just a bad magic phase overall. We go straight into combat because everything that I have that is shooting is stuck. Alright, so I go ahead and decide to get the right flank over with. I'm going to easily finish off this Chaos Spawn, but it's Pyrrhic because he's already positioned the Chariot to slam into them. So they're going to be hurting in a second here. In this combat, the Chariot's still withered, but I'm only able to do 2 wounds. It has 1 left, and then I easily dispatch the dogs. So we go into Beastmen turn 3, sorry. This Chariot fails a charge it declares against the Dark Shards. This Chariot makes it into the Doomfire Warlocks, and then the spawn rolls really low and is unable to make it into the Dark Shards that the Chariot earlier tried to charge into. And then I didn't post the picture of this charge because it was too blurry, but the large horde of Wargore make it into the Witches. He's going to support the Wargore with a Wild Form, and then we're going to go straight into combat. So I'm sure if you've played Beastmen or played against Beastmen, you probably know what this is going to stand for. For those of you who haven't, this is a Primal Fury check, and he rolls double 1s, which means not only does he get Hatred, but he also gets Frenzy. So Witches versus a large horde of Beastmen is going to be quite a bloody battle, and I'm pretty excited about it. Alright, and this is what it looks like after combat. So it was really bloody. I lost, I think, about 13, 14 girls. I can't see what's on the other side of the cauldron, so I don't know the exact number. And then I'm pretty sure I did about 20 wounds to his unit. Before I saw this picture, I thought this was a 40 deep unit. I thought it was 10 across, 4 deep. But it looks like it's 8 across and probably was about 6 deep with maybe some stragglers in the back. So I ended up doing about 20 wounds. I was in a challenge. Our champions were both in a challenge, and I did 3 extra wounds to him. And so even though he has me outranked, has a BSB and a banner, I just did a little bit more on the wound side that just helped me out. And really it came down to poison. I just rolled a ton of poison. Just to give you an idea of what this combat has, the Beastmen have Hatred, Frenzy, and Wissons on them, and then my guys have a 5+ ward, or gals I should say, girls. They have a 5+ ward, they have Always Strikes First, they have Poison, the Cauldron lets them reroll all their wounds, so I am just dishing out the amount of attacks, and I did roll really well, probably better than normal, but I am getting to reroll everything, so yep, I win this combat. He sticks, he's still steadfast, and we're going to get another round out of this. On the other flank, he whiffs here, and so it's a tie. And then in the other combat near the center, we finally finish off that chariot. It still had the withering on him, and I reposition my guys in the beginning of turn 3 to look like this. And here, I really want to support these witches, but there's really not a good avenue for me to do so. If I charge now, I'm only going to get the corner model in combat with the corner of his unit. And even though that will bring me ranks into the combat, it'll line my BSB up with the general, and I really don't want to fight that general. That guy is a killing machine, and my BSB is not that armored up. He's just kind of armored up. Uh, so we're not going to do that, and so we're just going to wait for an opening. I know that in the long run, attrition is going to kill my witches, so I'm banking on that happening, and I'm going to be able to support later. We go in the magic phase, and man, did I need a way better magic phase, but this is what I get. Alright, so we go in the shooting phase, and this was very underwhelming. Couldn't kill that spawn, and this guy breaks. And then here we go into round 2 of this combat again, and I do win again. And I do take a lot of casualties still, so I am losing on the attrition front. But yeah, the thing that saved me in this round, because I do think he would have won this round had it not been him failing his fear test, because my Death Hag has the war cry. So that really saved my butt here. Again, I dished out a bunch of wounds. And here we go into the next turn. Alright, here we go into Beastman turn 4, and the left flank finally gets to my left flank. So these guys are actually quite slow, so I probably didn't have to worry about them that much. Here we have the Harpies. I forgot about them, and he found this as an opportunity to charge these poor Dark Shards in the flank. So that could be a little bit of a problem. And then he brings his Ungor forward. I think he's waiting for an opportunity, just like my Executioners are waiting for an opportunity, to just open up some space and bring those ranks into the combat res of this major battle in the center. And man, much to my dismay, he gets 12 dice this round, so he's really going to get a lot of these spells off. I try to stomp one of the wild forms, and I let him get this purple sun off because it doesn't matter. I think he kills like 3 elves. But he does get the other wild form off, and here we go into combat. So over here I kill 2, he doesn't kill any, and I reform. And then we go into round 3, and he wins this time, but I don't have enough witches for him to really kill. My Cauldron of Blood and his general are in combat. He's only able to do 1 wound because I do make a bunch of ward saves. And so because he doesn't have a lot of witches to kill, and I still do quite a few wounds on my own, I only end up losing by the musician, and so I'm going to lose Frenzy, but I still have 1 witch left, which is the banner. You can barely see her red banner there. But more importantly, it's going to be my turn, and there's now a space for my executioners to come support this battle. So hopefully I'm going to go throw them in here, and hopefully that will turn the tide of this little battle here. And that's what I do. I charge the executioners in there, and we go in the magic phase. I just want to try to get some help in the magic, just to tip it totally in my favor. I do get miasma off, and so we go into this combat. And sure enough, it's enough. Sorry I didn't take these pictures. I usually take a ton of pictures, but I guess I only took the pictures of the results. But anyways, I do charge in there. There's enough of the Wargore left for me to get some combat res from the Executioner swinging. He does 3 more wounds to my Cauldron. I don't do anything to him. His BSB is basically the only one in contact with my last witch in the unit, and he's unable to kill her. He has about 3 attacks. I think he has a great weapon, so he just rolled poorly there at the end. And so I win combat with the ranks and all the other combat bonuses like BSB and standard and charge. And so, yep, it's left with him and the BSB. He breaks, the BSB dies, and the general flees and gets away. Alright, and so what we have left is my 2 units are going to pursue after the general, or they've already done so, and their movement is going to bring them into contact with that Ungor unit. And it's getting late, so we ended up just calling it. So this is where the game ends. I think we had a combat over with the Harpies that we didn't finish, but it didn't matter. So, yep, this is where it ends, and it ends up being a Dark Elf victory. So it was pretty good. This is my second time playing Beastmen. I may have not mentioned that earlier, but in case I didn't, it is only the second time, and it was definitely a learning experience. I definitely went into the game thinking that all my hours of watching Once Bitten videos was going to give me an edge in this game, but I really had no idea what Beastmen did even after watching all those YouTube videos. So it was really fun to play against this. I'd really like playing this opponent, and every time he brings these beautiful armies. So the one thing I want to talk about is what I could have done differently. Well, at least the one thing that stands out in my mind. I'm sure there's thousands of things I could have done differently, but I really didn't use my Doomfire Warlocks best I could, and I think it starts with the fact I did not Vanguard. I really wanted to, and I should have kept this in mind, use my Doomfire Warlocks to get behind his lines and hunt down those ridiculous wizards. Well, they're not that bad, but it's just really hard to contend with 3 extra power dice a turn. So, yeah, that was my game plan. Should have remembered that. Should use the Vanguard moves. I didn't. I'm going to try to remember next time. So, but it would have been hard to get around him. You know, my opponent would have seen that happening, and he had 4 to 5 chaff units over there. Would have intercepted them. Probably also should not have underestimated the spawn. Spawn generally thought of being the worst unit probably in the fantasy universe, but it really put me in a pickle. So, anyways, thanks for watching. Thank you for everyone's likes. Thanks to you for your comments and subscriptions, and I really appreciate you guys, watching my videos. So I'll see you guys next time.